Do we actually, take a moment and, let people know that they're appreciated?
Welcome to the Outliers Inn, produced by the Operational Excellence Society and sponsored by Zonatech Consulting Group International, with your hosts, Joseph Paris and David Schneider.
Well, welcome to another episode of the Outliers Inn. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Mule, and on the other picture here is our other host, JP. Hello, JP.
Hey, how's it going, Mule?
It's been a ass-kicking day today. Technology getting in the way, but successfully scaled all those technical molehills. So,
well, plug and play, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, plug and then you play like crazy to get it to work. So, but hey, it's not called perfection; it's called practice. So
yes,
here we go. But I really do appreciate all those wonderful things that technology brings to us, and maybe not the frustrations that come along with it, but I do appreciate the technology. How about you?
I have a lot of things to appreciate. Sometimes technology is not one of them. Quite often, in fact. Sometimes I think it's just a miracle that everything gets to work eventually. And there's sometimes no rhyme or reason to it, right? I mean, it's working 1 minute, then it's not, and then it is, and then it's not. And it could be quite frustrating. But yes, I too appreciate it once everything's going. And really, that's the theme of today's show, isn't it? Appreciation.
2468.
Yeah, who do we appreciate? So I got to tell you how I came up with this theme there, Mule. Mm-hmm. And there was just this one person, a friend of mine on Facebook, okay? And she has a bit of an opposing viewpoint to a lot of topics that I do. But we always have, we'll call it a respectful discourse. You know what I mean? And so one day I just sent her a message, and of course I'm 6 hours or 7 hours ahead of her. So I just, woke up and I was just sitting there thinking about it. And I just sent her a message that said, you know what? I just wanted you to know I appreciate you as a friend. Okay, simple as that. Nothing dramatic, no details, just that was it. And some hours later when she gets up and getting her day going, she was like really not to use another word, I've got a synonym for it during the show, but she expressed her appreciation at my appreciation of her. Mm-hmm. And, it was a great way to, start the day. And so I started thinking about that, I was like, do we actually, take a moment and, let people know that they're appreciated? You know what I mean? Like, we talk about respect for people in the Lean Six Sigma world, and we talk about, being kind, and especially during this holiday season that we're coming up. But do we actually ever just like say it? And so a couple of days later, I'm on LinkedIn and I'm exchanging a message with a client of mine in the UK. And I just sent her a message. I knew that she was struggling with this part of the project. And I just sent her a message to say, listen, I just want you to know I appreciate you and that you're doing a great job. And, she responded that, it was just exactly the thing that she needed to hear, because she was, struggling in this part of the project that we're working on. Mm-hmm. And she didn't feel that her value and her contribution was, up to snuff, if you will, up to standard. And, I just wanted her to know that wasn't the case. So then I was like, this is like not a coincidence. Like 2 times in 1 week, I expressed an appreciation of somebody, and they responded like they'd never been, nobody's ever appreciated them before in their lives. So that was the impetus of the theme for this show here, and just to talk about appreciation, who we might appreciate, or what we might appreciate in others, and go from there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that the ability to express appreciation is a leadership trait. that, really, really good leaders are able to express their appreciation to the people who support them. And it's a feedback loop. You appreciate somebody, it's a very positive message. They receive it. I am working with a client now who the leader of the organization of the group that I work with, she tells people that she appreciates them. She makes an effort to tell them not only she appreciates them, but what she appreciates them for at times. What is it that she appreciates? And you look at everybody who's in her reporting tree, and they all will not necessarily fall on their swords for her, but they would do pretty much anything that she asks them to do, and do it because they know that if she's going to ask them, she's going to appreciate it. And appreciation is a currency. I think it is a very important currency to and lubrication to the human dynamic. When we appreciate people that we work with, when we appreciate people that we live with, or appreciate our spouses, it lubricates that relationship. And that's kind of my viewpoint of what appreciation is all about.
Yeah, but I think that using the word is more powerful than say thank you. I mean,
Yes.
Thank you is showing appreciation, right? But if you use the word, I appreciate you, it's much more impactful, I believe.
Well, it also has a second meaning that, thank you has a very singular meaning, but appreciation has multiple meanings, the word itself, because things appreciate in value. And so when we show that we appreciate somebody, we use that word, we're actually raising and acknowledging how that person's value is higher to us than perhaps somebody else's. I mean, that's, I think, something that's a part of that dynamic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, perhaps, we should take a moment and talk about some of the people that have been in our lives that we appreciate.
Well, I keep thinking about it. The number one person I always appreciate is my wife, Eve, because she will put up with all of my incredible bullshit and knows when to call me on it and knows when to, often stand back. But there's times where we get sideways with each other, but we always get it straightened out. And I always appreciate her tenacity at it. So, but that's, one of the people that I appreciate having in my life every day.
Excellent. Well, of course, I don't want to duplicate yours, and because that's sort of like copying off of somebody's test, right? But there have been some really impactful people in my life. Okay, I was really incredibly fortunate when I look back and think about all the teachers I had in grade school. Mm-hmm. Okay, and almost to a T, they were impactful. I mean, there's some that were not, of course, like, my kindergarten teacher, Chafee was her name. I'm naturally left-handed, and she tried to beat the left hand out of me when I was writing. And so now my writing's for caca because I can't really write right-handed. But I had like Orlando and Lenhart and Mrs. Blair. Mrs. Blair, this is a great story. Mrs. Blair used to steal or confiscate, not steal, confiscate our Hot Wheels cars. All right. And she was a great old woman from the South. And this is third grade. And then fourth grade was DeLuca, and fifth grade was Farinack, and sixth grade was Lenhart. And then I get to ninth grade and I have Mr. Blair. And Mr. Blair is just a gigantic person. And like he could palm, like two basketballs with one hand. I mean, just like I was always amazed at the size of his hands. And anyway, I tell him that I had his wife in third grade and that she confiscated all these Matchbox cars. And sure enough, like 2 weeks later, he brings in this shoebox full of Matchbox cars, all of them that she had kept for all those years. Okay. And then there's just, a whole litany of other, Mr. Hines, incredibly impactful English teacher, Invictus. Okay. He had everybody memorize the poem Invictus. And the test for it was that he could see you anytime, anywhere, public or private. And all you'd have to say is Invictus, and you had to recite the poem. So it was a grocery store, a football game, in the hall, it didn't matter. That was the test. And, so I was really blessed with having a lot of great teachers that supported me early on. And then, in my business world, I had, Francis Palangeli, he went by the nickname Pogo, very imposing Italian guy, brought me, when I first met him, we were proposing a big contract for networks. And he was in heavy excavation and masonry. And he brought me up to a job site at Cornell University. And he said, that's the biggest shovel in all of within a 100-mile radius. And whatever I put at the bottom of this hole, only I can get out. And he looked at me and says, "Is this all going to work, Paris?" And I was like, yes, it's going to work. And we got the job, and very, very stressful situation for me, because if you didn't pay me, we were out of business. I mean, that was quite, this is like one of the first big jobs that we got. But he took me under his wing, and he was an incredible mentor to me, throughout the formidable years of starting my business. Frank, Pogo Palangeli, very, very impactful guy. And then, years later, there's, Boom Daniels, Marine aviator, really brought and snapped into focus to me what operational excellence is all about. And Vixen, Carrie Lawrence, who helped me, it was my Sherpa when I was writing my book. And just like, I've really been, and David, even yourself, I'm going to have you take a bow, because you have even been impactful, not just with the Outliers Inn, but just all of our conversations, and the camaraderie we've had, and some of the heart to hearts we've had when things were going not according to plan. And so I just there's a lot of people that have been in my life that I appreciate, and that's just like the cream of the crop. Not that anybody else is less cream, but these are the ones that just immediately come to mind.
Yeah, some of the people I appreciate are obviously folks that I would work with over the time. But one memorable person is a guy named Jim Bryant, who was the vice president of distribution at Payless Cashways when I got when I was getting ready to graduate from college. And I ended up interviewing with this guy once or three times, once on the phone for a total of 90 seconds. And off of that 90 seconds, he decided that he wanted to meet me. And then after that, I ended up having an interview that in total lasted about 8 minutes. And in that 8 minutes, he decided to hire me. I worked outside of his office for several years, and I learned so much about corporate politics from this guy, but also how to talk to senior executives and what you needed to do to be able to sell something to senior executives successfully. And that's probably, one of the most interesting lessons I learned, because it wasn't just selling money or selling projects, it's selling ideas.
Right. Selling yourself too.
And selling myself. And it was so important to my, formative development as, in corporate life and as an employee, but then also as a manager, and then ultimately as a consultant, because there are lessons that I learned from Jim Bryan when I was 23 and 24 that I teach people today. And it's because it was the God's honest truth that you needed to follow to be able to be successful. Right. And of anybody who had any direct push on my career, that's one of them that I'm reminded every day. And I appreciate having had the privilege of working with him and for him. not once, but twice, two different companies.
Awesome.
And, just an awesome guy to work with. And then another impactful person in my background was my journalism teacher in high school, Homer Hall or H.L. Hall. Anytime I go through Nashville, I make it a point to go visit him and his wife. They're still alive today, healthy, and healthy for their age. But I make it a point to visit them because my ability to understand and ask questions come from that exposure. My initial journalism classes in high school from taking Mr. Hall's classes. And a great deal of my success drives back to what I learned in what was called Portable 143.
I think about the teachers today versus when we were growing up. Okay, and I don't hear, certainly I didn't hear from my kids, nor usually other young people, that the teachers of today are touching the kids as they did when we were growing up. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'll give you an example. Like I had Ms. DeLuca in 4th grade, and I wanted to be a scientist. Okay. I mean, the broad term. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Don. Yeah. We'll let you have it. Okay. So that's quite literally what I wanted to be. And she gave me a corner of the room where I could bring in all the science books and everything else. And I would just sit there and I would read and I would explore, and whether it was the universe or the sea. They have these life books at the time from Time Life, concentrating on various areas, science or space exploration. I mean, we're talking about Apollo projects, okay, and Skylab. Remember Skylab?
Yeah.
And we would write to, I would write to like NASA in Houston or even IBM at Cape Canaveral, and I'd get these gigantic, packages with patches and EVA pictures of EVAs, extravehicular activities, and things of that nature. It was just really, really cool. So she just let me explore, and I don't know that a student would be able to do that today.
I don't know if they would be allowed to do that in grade school. Probably still get away with it. I know in grade school I was allowed to do a lot of stuff independent of the rest of the class. Otherwise, I'd be just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. But I know that teachers are making an impact, because I work with a high school robotics team.
Yeah,
for 6 years. And there are certain teachers in the school that make an impact, at least with the kids. It would be interesting to see what these kids think in 20 years of who made an impact with them. I know that, that's part of to me, the compensation I get out of working with the robotics team is the impact that I get to make in those students. And I get to see it when it happens.
Yeah.
Because of the teaching, that's when you're getting through to them. It's magical.
Yeah.
And that's part of the compensation for it. I always appreciate, having that privilege, being able to do that.
All right. So hats off to the teachers of today and of yesterday.
Yeah. So
I'm
wondering what Don and Damien have to add to this
Damien,
appreciation montage.
Damien, you want to go first?
How about Don? I'm eating something right now.
We'll appreciate you sharing that with us. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Don's only drinking, today. So
I haven't started yet. It's only 9:30 here.
Oh, that's right. I'm 6 or 7 hours ahead of you.
Yeah, I know. I was planning on sitting down at the beach bar and my feet in the sand and they have a Negro Medola sitting there.
Negro Medola. Yeah.
So where are you, Don, that you could sit in the sand, with your feet in the sand?
I am in San Carlos, Mexico.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. The only problem is, like I was telling Joe earlier, I said, it's like 50 degrees this morning. It's like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Watch out for falling iguanas.
What's that?
That's right. Falling
Yeah.
iguanas.
Falling iguanas,
Yeah.
man. They get cold in the trees and they just start falling off. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's more in Florida. I haven't seen an iguana here. I see
Okay.
cows and stuff like that.
Well,
but,
watch
you know,
out for falling cows too.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, they had a police escort for him yesterday.
Good. So what are you doing down in Mexico?
I've got some equipment we're installing down here.
Oh, okay.
One of the defense contractors, they're moving a lot of their stuff out of the States, and they're shuffling. It's their commercial products they're moving down here. They're keeping the military products up there in the States, and they're moving way more of their product down here, like you say, as far as the commercial stuff goes.
Yeah.
So I got down here last Saturday. I'm down here for 2 weeks. We have to do training and everything else. So yeah, the install so far has been going pretty good. A couple of hiccups here or there, but we expect it.
Yeah, good. Good.
But
So appreciation. You got anything to add to the list?
I have to, I'm sorry, I have to do this, but I have to, I have to thank the wife to begin with. You know, thankful I got hers. The only one that puts up with my crap sometimes. But
Hear, hear.
yeah, what's that?
Here, here.
Yeah, really. Yeah, teachers have definitely, you know, there's a lot of things that teachers did for me over the years, you know, going through high school. I had kind of the rough childhood, so I always think back to a lot of the stuff that, you know, these guys did for me, and a lot of the encouragement they gave me over the years. It's the only reason I made it through, probably. I was quite the hellion back then. So, but yeah, I mean, just the little things that people did, and a lot of the little things that, you know, coaches and stuff like that I had over the years. Just the little things that they did. You always remember them. And it was just, you know, it always kept you going. You know, instead of
So what were some of the things that the coaches taught you?
Well, one of the things that really stood out, I had one of my track coaches. I was like, as far as my athletic ability went, I was, you know, even though I'm short, but my athletic ability was pretty good. I was 135 pounds, but I was bench pressing well over 200 pounds at the time. You know, curling. I was worked out. I was a physical specimen back then, and we were pole vaulting, and yeah, shut up, Joe. We were pole vaulting,
Spacey
and I was to the point where I needed a pole. There was something, and one of my coaches actually drove me up to Ithaca, and he bought me a brand new pole so I could use it. Mm-hmm. And I've never forgotten that. You know, he went out of his way to actually do that for me. You know, that's something. I mean, my parents would never even dreamt of doing something like that. You know, it was, you know, just be happy with what you got, get over it. You know, but yeah, it was just little things like that. Trying to think. Just a lot of little things over the years. I had one of the guys I used to work with, and I was working on cars, and he told me, he says, he recommended, he says, listen, you gotta go out and start your own business. Boy, what else? I mean, I could have, you know, I've been busy this week, so I didn't sit down and chalk a lot of stuff up. I'm thankful for the school Hard Knocks, because that's probably where that I learned a lot of stuff. I mean, I've fallen on my face more times than I could even imagine, but, you know, been able to get back up. And life is really beaten up.
Did anybody ever help you get back up?
Joe, you've been a great help over the years. You know, I listened to a lot of the stuff that you've helped me out with, and taking a lot of it to heart and stuff. And, you know, it helps me keep me going. It's good to have a positive influence around, you know, to be around positive people instead of being around people who are, you know, in the doldrums all the time. It definitely changes your life quite a bit.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? You know, a winning attitude. Now, hold it. You're about like a 12th degree black belt, right? I mean, so, you know,
degree, yes.
You know, but you couldn't have got there without coaching, without your own internal discipline. Okay. And, you know, you're a person that does get knocked down, but, you know, and we all get knocked down, but, you know, and, you know, we got to get back up, and that's all there is to it. But, you know, you have this, you know, inner discipline that was able to be summoned through your karate journey. And I don't even know if it's karate or judo or whatever it is. I mean, you know more than me, but to get to your, you know, umpteenth degree black belt must have taken a lot of lot of years, and you must have had somebody that was a mentor to you along the way.
Really, boy, I don't know. I can't really think of any one individual that
Really.
Yeah, I really can't. I go over all this stuff. I'm kind of one of these. I don't want to say loner or anything like that, but I'm kind of one of these individuals that I kind of run by myself. I just a lot of the stuff that I do, I fuel from. I look at the external things going on, and I get motivated from that stuff. I mean, the people that I've trained with over the years, yeah. I mean, the Sones, they were, when we first broke off from the other school, they were, inspirational in keeping, everything going. I mean, I was the one that started the whole thing, and I was the one that got everything up and going. But I had to hand it off because I travel and I don't have time to do it all. And they took over. And there was a lot of stuff that I learned from Master Sone. He was, in fact, he just passed away this year. Young man at 65.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. You went to his funeral, right?
Yeah, they had a memorial service for him up in Binghamton Country.
Right.
It was really great. Yeah, I got to see a lot of the people that we trained with over the years and stuff like that. But he was always, he was always doing stuff. I mean, when we went through this whole thing, I had a bit of an attitude on me, and I got rid of my belt, and I just went with the classic blue belt. That was it. No markings, nothing on it. And he kind of chastised me over that a little bit. He says, you need to put your rank on that. I says, if people have to ask my rank, I don't need, they don't, why are they here? I'm a 3rd-degree black belt. They should know that. And he finally came over to me one day and popped the rank on the belt. He says, I didn't want to hear it. He says, just do it. But yeah, he was a good man. He really was.
Cool.
He had quite the following, and he was a great instructor and very, very technical with what he did. But yeah, he was a good one. His wife was great. Because both of them did it. Both of them were out there training every day, and they did a great job. But there's all sorts of people that people that oh God, one guy, oh God, what was his first name? Oh, Jesus.
Jesus?
One of the guys.
Jesus?
What's that?
Yeah.
His name was Jesus?
Jesus?
I'm trying to remember this guy. One of the guys that I trained with, I remember his son's name. His son was Adam Tondor. But this guy, he was an Irishman, and he was a scrapper. And you'd get in and train with this guy, and you better be ready to bring it. Yeah, he would just bring it every time you were out there training. And oh my God, you had to. He would hit you. He would hit you. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you had to be on your guard every time with him. And we had a lot of fun.
Cool. So let's move on to Damien. Are you done with your brought beer there, Damien?
Yes, and I have a bunch of. I wrote, as everybody was talking, I wrote down a bunch of ideas, and then as we were as Don was just talking to me, like you said, my wife puts up with me like you all, but one of the people I really appreciate who aren't with me anymore is my mom and dad. I was one of 7, and if you all are, I know Dave's a parent, and if you're a parent, the universal game in parenting is how much to push and how much not to do anything. And my parents hit that perfectly with, I would say, I'm sure they tried to do it with all of us, and they did a pretty good job with everybody, but with me, it was easy. And my mom, she gave me the sense to talk to anybody about anything. My mom would go to the grocery, and she would talk to somebody that she met in the aisle for 20 minutes. And when she'd come back, my dad would say, "Where are you?" He said, "Oh, I met you talked to some lady you didn't know in the grocery for 20 minutes? What the hell are you doing?" And then my dad, he was the one that just, give it your all, do things right. Whenever I broke the car or burnt the clutch out, he goes, okay, we'll get underneath there and fix it. And he budgeted every dollar. So, I just appreciate what they gave for me. And it was funny. I was in college, and, when you're in college, you make the call and ask, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I really just needed the money for long distance because I was on scholarship. And I'd say, Dad, could you spare $100? And he said, yeah. He said, sure, I'll do that. And he said, I'm sorry, I wish I could do more. I said, Dad, and I kind of said to him what I said. I said, I'm thankful for what you and Mom did and didn't do for me, because when I got to camp, we had the first time we had to go wash our clothes. Well, hell, I knew how to do it. I've been washing clothes since I was in 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many guys on the team, I'm like, okay, you separate the whites and the darks, and no, you don't put that much soap in, blah, blah, blah. But I said, you all taught me everything. I said, you taught me, the biggest lesson that they taught me was how to do things for myself. So, I appreciate that. And then another one I wrote down, which kind of, it really hit me yesterday, because I had a bunch of doctor's appointments. And I know we all see on Facebook or LinkedIn, and we see the quote, like, just be kind to people, because you have no idea what burdens they're carrying behind that persona that they have. And I wrote a note here while we were talking, is I appreciate the professional pleasantries, kindness that people like I dealt with 3 or 4 different people as part of my doctor's office. I had my regular visit, I had to give blood, I did a treadmill test, I had to get an x-ray. And it was nice. They're trained to do it, but it's almost like, and you all have heard me say this before, it's like Chick-fil-A. When they don't say thank you, they say my pleasure. And that's a lot different. Just like you said, when I appreciate somebody, that's different than saying thank you. And it's amazing. And I noticed, because I was I'm like, oh God, I got to get all this done. I want to get the hell out of here. And the first lady I met, I could tell I was a little crabby, and she responded to me a little crabby. Then the next lady, that the nurse practitioner that brought me in, I had my Georgia Tech stuff on. She goes, oh, you went to Georgia Tech? So it's just natural. And I could tell more stories about the visit, but I think there's so much more that we can all do, me included. And I just appreciate when people handle things with kindness, instead of going, okay, well, this person obviously blew it, either the way they were driving or what they said to this person. So this is my time. I got 100% right of all the business to light them up. Well, don't light them up.
Yeah.
Figure out, put yourself in their and maybe that's kind of the thing. You mentioned it, Dave, about leadership being appreciation. I just read something. Empathy is probably the top characteristic for leaders. And I think that's what it is. Appreciate the position somebody, they didn't wake up today to do something wrong so that their boss and everybody in the meeting could jump on them. So give them a lifeline, do something. And I appreciate when people handle those things where they have all the right to just light somebody up, and they handle it in a professional manner and they basically say, if I was in their shoes, how would I like to be treated?
They diffuse it.
Yeah,
The ones that
it does.
diffuse it, that, there's times where I've come in loaded for bear and everything else, such a frustrating time. And you come in and they can recognize that you're carrying that and they diffuse it. I'm always amazed at how people can see that, and the ones that can change your attitude.
Well, just like today, Dave, you're all on fire getting into this to the inn here because of the various issues, and
Yeah.
And we just took a few moments at the beginning to talk you down off the ledge, and
I was already coming off the ledge, I think, but
yeah,
it was all right. Now we got past it, and okay, no stress now.
Yeah, that's
and how do you diffusing that stress ends up becoming that, once again, to me, appreciation becomes one of those lubricants that help de-stress and help relieve that tension. Tension's good, but too much tension isn't.
I got to tell you, I'm here in a quandary. All right, because Dave, you started off appreciating your wife because she puts up with your shit, and Damien, you said about the same thing, and Don about the same thing. And I'm wondering where you found these women, because my wife doesn't put up with any of my shit, not any of it, none. So,
At a bar where you're supposed to.
Yeah, right. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
I use the crazy
always
hot
say I
matrix.
caught my wife at a weak moment.
must have been. Oh, shit.
And well, and then the other thing I'd like to say, and I'm not trying to connect, but I think it's when I hear the word appreciate, to me, that comes from a person who's grateful. And grateful people are some happy people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they're the ones that are just blowing kindness out in everything they do, because they appreciate, where they are in their life, the people that are in their life. They know, and we've all said it in this call, people in different junctures in your life reach out and give you a lifeline, and you don't even know. I remember I was an usher and I drove the van when I was in the church when I moved back to Atlanta before I got married, and I would see, it's funny if you go to a Catholic church, say, oh, I'm a member of St. Andrew's. No, I'm a member of St. Andrew's 1030 Mass church, because you don't see anybody else. But I remember I must have had it written all over my face, and I was going through some major stress. And one of the ladies on the bus after Mass, she came up to me and she goes, "Hey, I just wanted to give you a hug and see if you're okay." I was like shocked. I was like, she goes, "Well, it looks like you're just a little heavy. Are things okay?" I go, "Well, not really." I said, "But I said, they're a lot better now." Yep. Thank you. There's bigger examples than that, but it's amazing as good as we are in charging people and helping them. We can also just spew venom, and Don said it about you, Joe. We have a choice on what we're going to be spreading around in this world, and I think if you spread appreciation, it's going to be like kindness. It's going to be whatever you want to say. It's going to do great things for everybody.
You mentioned something, Damien, that I think is really important as a takeaway from today's session. Is that an empathetic person can tell when somebody's carrying a burden. They might not know what that burden is, but if you know the person, you could tell from the way they're walking, their posture, whether they're looking at their shoes, their shoulders are slumped, whatever it is, you could tell that, somebody is carrying a burden. And I think that at that moment, when we see that and we're able to say, I appreciate you. As assuming, of course, that you have a personal relationship. If you don't have a personal relationship, then they're just, can I help you? Is there something I can do to help you? But assuming that you have a personal relationship, you could just say, you know what, I want you to know I appreciate you. That hug or that, that connection really can reinvigorate a person. You know what I mean? Steel their spine, put that, have them stand up straight. I remember a project I was working on, and Don was there actually in Florida. And there was just this one person who was in way over their head. And he was like a dead man walking. All right. When I say dead man walking, is that he's in over his head. He knows he's in over his head. Everybody around him, and even his peers and his supervisors, know he's in over his head. But instead of helping this guy up, they were actually abandoning him, actively abandoning him and putting him in the failure box. And I saw this. I could see it in the way he walked. I could see it. And I just took him out to lunch. And we just had like an hour and a half, 2-hour lunch. Just talk. I let him talk about whatever it is that he wanted to talk about. Asked him open-ended questions. Let him know that, he's not alone. And let him acknowledge that he's in over his head, and what he needs in order to be happy in his position, whether it's that position that he held or a different position where he could be more successful. But just taking that time, seeing that person, taking the time can make all the difference in the world.
Amen.
I got some dead air there for a second. I'm wondering what the did my internet drop? I don't know.
No, not dead air. But I was thinking about something that every year on the robotics team, we're replacing all management. So all the senior management graduates. And then you've got complete turnover of every other position in the company. You think about it, and how do companies have succession planning that you're replacing everybody and everybody's getting promoted every year? That's an interesting dynamic. It's an interesting challenge, but it's the reality of any school-based team, whether it's a sports team or like the robotics team. And it's something that we remind all of the outgoing leaders, because they interview everybody who they're going to replace. They have to make the decision of who the new leadership is going to be. And inevitable, every year, one of these students will go, well, none of them are ready for it. And we just, those of us who've been around, smile back at them and we go, yeah, you weren't ready for it either last year. Yeah. And you made this comment, Joe, about how everybody had kind of thrown this guy, it was a sink or swim, and they were letting him sink.
They're throwing rocks. They're giving them rocks.
They're giving them rocks. And I go, if you really want to show that you appreciate people, then what you do is you take the rocks away. You unload the burden somewhat, and organizations where people keep throwing rocks at you are pretty ill.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you don't have to take the rocks away. Just allow them the opportunity to put them down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oftentimes it's just not something we have to do. It's just something that we have to give them a safe zone for them to do it.
Or sometimes it's just letting them know that they can put it down, put that rock down. That one's not doing anything for you.
Right. So, well, listen, I think that we've had a really great session today about appreciation. It's the holiday season, 2021, right? And, I hope that everybody has had the opportunity to appreciate things that have happened in their life this year. And we'll look to 2022 and beyond with new vigor.
More appreciation.
More appreciation.
Well, it's like more cowbell, but
More
more
cowbell.
appreciation.
I should have something down here that I could hit.
Dear. All right. So I guess it's only one thing left to say.
Gee whiz. Yeah, we've wasted another 45 minutes of your precious time here on the Outliers Inn.
Yeah.
And all I can say is just don't drive like my brother.
And don't drive like my brother. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
You have been listening to another episode of The Outliers Inn with your hosts, Joseph Paris and David Schneider. This program is produced by the Operational Excellence Society and sponsored by Zonotech Consulting Group International.